What's up, YouTube? It's real good. I'm getting ready to head into town for the day. Take you along with me. So first I'm heading into town to meet another new friend. And I'm feeling pretty peaceful and quiet at the moment, but also a little non-present, a little bit agitated. And I think it's tied to feeling like I'm not paying enough attention to getting back to my job in a month. So I'm going to feel into that. Yeah, I notice a lot of resistance to focusing back on work or forcing myself to do things. This period of quarantine for COVID has actually turned into a really wonderful experience for me. The forced isolation got me really good at being with myself alone out in this cabin in the woods, in this beautiful area. And so now I actually quite enjoy being alone doing nothing. I've also, in the last week or two, started to hang out with people quite a bit again. And so it's felt like a full-blown summer vacation, the kind that someone in school, high school or middle school would have. It's been wonderful, and I feel a lot of resistance. So I'm going to lean into that resistance and see what comes up, because I got to get back to work in about a month. I've got some questions to answer. I'm asking myself why I don't want to get back to work, and I want to get beyond the obvious answers of, well, I like having all of my time to do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. So my job activity is something that I really used to do, really used to enjoy doing, coding. And the company I work for is fantastic. The team I work for is fantastic. The pay is amazing. The work culture is amazing. So I can't really, not that I'm trying to, blame it on the job or the salary. Certainly I am growing and changing, as I have continued to do my entire life. Sometimes quite quickly, which makes it a little bit hard to keep up with myself at sometimes, and keep myself entertained and occupied. Life would be easier if I liked one thing and stuck to that for a really long time, but I've tended to like a lot of things and really enjoy learning and trying to get good at a lot of different things. And then I like to continue to move on and integrate those things, but move on to either wildly new endeavors or large integrated projects, or to bring them back into my relationships and the new relationships I've made. I continue to grow in community. Whenever I've changed into something like a new job, I've always enjoyed the job for anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months, easily. So many new things to learn, new things to get used to. And then that initial joy can tend to fade. And if I'm lucky, I hit a coasting, a sort of steady state that's reasonably enjoyable, tolerable, sustainable. But to date, I've not held a job happily for over 2 years, which is not uncommon, especially in software engineering and for people in our younger generation. Yeah, to lean into the somatics a bit. When I imagine going back to work, I feel my chest and throat get a little bit tight. I feel uncomfortable and a little bit anxious. I start to see images of being back at work. I have to remind myself that I don't even get to be back at the office, that we don't get to be back in the office until at least the end of the year. I notice that opens up opportunities for me, and I almost feel excitement, and I feel like I should feel excitement, but then I watch myself cling to my living situation. I don't want to leave my cabin. I absolutely love my cabin. I love the city that I live in. It's my favorite city in the world. And I really like that feeling of having found my thing and sticking to it. As you can imagine, that feels like an anchor of relief from always changing and seeking more and growth and better. So I love my cabin, but the connectivity out there is terrible. It takes me hours to upload these videos for you, sometimes overnight. it's taken up to 12 hours just to upload one of these videos. Whereas in town, I could be uploading these things in minutes. So why am I bringing this up? It's because if I don't have to be actually back in the office until the end of the year, that means I've got at least 6 months that I could go be living nearly anywhere on the planet with decent Wi-Fi connection and having this job that pays really wonderfully well. That's a huge opportunity that I could potentially take advantage of. Part of my practice that's come up the last few months, I've already mentioned to you that I notice how quickly I lose myself. I leave myself in the mornings and all throughout the day, and then I've been practicing returning to myself. But another piece of that has been to notice what I actually am enjoying. Not thinking about what's right and good, but notice what's actually feeling right and good to me. And imagining being able to go work anywhere, imagining being able to go anywhere and have newness, that felt exciting to me. It felt good. I felt opened and like a flowering in my chest, down into my guts. I still feel it now more somatically, even without the imagination. What this process or noticing this in this process for me says is, if I spend some time reflecting on my job and the current situation, serious time, a day or two, just being with it, I might begin to notice, especially given my bodily sensations, my feelings and emotions, what is it that feels good? What is it that actually feels good about my job? Not the things that look good on paper and that everyone else seems to love. And what are the things that I don't love that maybe other people do? You know, for example, working from home seems theoretically wonderful, right? Freedom, yeah, but I like being around people. I really like the camaraderie and the teamwork that can come up. Now, granted, I don't exactly love open floor plans. I think they're ridiculous and pretty cruel to software engineers. Why would you put a bunch of bright lights and loud noises around software engineers trying to write code? It's mind-boggling. But that's the new cool trend. It's not even new anymore. It's been a trend for the last decade. So, yeah, I notice imagining really liking the potential of being in darkness and isolation and maybe leaning into a project that I really do enjoy and it feels meaningful to me. And that brings me to another important point. I don't feel connected to what my company is actually ultimately doing. We do work that help rich people get richer, frankly. And it makes sense to me that my company would target that kind of audience. It's where the money is, and it's a good way to make a successful business. For me, it's a lot better than my previous career path, which was even closer to demand and international defense sort of stuff. And so there's been progress. I hadn't thought that what my company works on is important to me, but I'm noticing that it might be there might be a void there. And if my company was working on something that I care about, then maybe I'd be more motivated in a larger, broader, more sustainable way. This brings me to a topic of why not start my own company and do my own thing. I notice I have a lot of my own resistance to paperwork and legalities and even entrepreneurship itself. I feel allergic to marketing and sales. I can't stand dishonesty or deceit or manipulation. I'm extreme anti-manipulation. So the idea that anyone would be ever trying to convince anyone else that they need something is pretty uncomfortable for me. I really like the idea of informing folks, sharing from personal experience, using ownership language, giving as an offering, and say, hey, if this works for you, I'm here. I have this thing, I have this product, I have this knowledge, I have this service. But maybe we can work with these things. Let's see. I do notice that my resistance is to going back to this particular job. I've never had much of an affinity towards money, but I don't notice any significant resistance in me toward money. And I think the real question is how to make my life continue to be financially sustainable. I don't need to go back to this job, even though it's financially lucrative. if I look at other things, for example, in the last 3 months, my portfolio is up 60% in 3 months. I don't really need a job if I can sustain that kind of returns. What else? There's lots of little other projects that I've been considering. Somewhat wild ideas, but I don't want to shoot them down before trying. You know, I would love to put myself out there and make myself available for authentic emotional intimacy. You know, do it in like hour-long beach walking sessions with, you can imagine lonely older folks with money in affluent areas that might be really into being heard and spending time with a young, healthy person who's got lots of new ideas around nonviolent communication and somatic therapy and recovery process. And I can imagine there being goodness in actually meeting someone who feels lonely and feeling together, met and seen and feeling the joy on their face. That to me feels like that would be a lovely way to invest my time and energy. And I'd really love to do that in bigger ways, which is a big part of why I'm starting this YouTube channel and working on this project, is to start this practice, to get seen, to reach out, so you can meet me, so you can reach back out in the comments and let me know what it is that you are vibing with, what you're feeling pulled towards, what you want to talk about, and whether or not you're interested in something like a weekend workshop for doing uncovery or feeling authentically emotionally met. And I expect this to be a sort of long-term, slow growth project. I'm really putting my effort in regularity at the moment, and as it picks up, we can lean more into honing in the content and focusing on what's really working for you. And then when we really nail that down, we can then work on the quality. And if this becomes a thing that's really strong and supportive in my life, besides just having this wonderful dialogue, then I could lean out of these other time sinks, like the full-time job, and really lean into this project with y'all. See, I think when I imagine going back to work, I feel a lot of emptiness, kind of sickness in my guts, like an open vacuum, and emptiness up in my chest. It feels empty. Yeah, I feel fatigued and like leaned over, and almost like decrepit, old and dark, and then at odds with the engineers and other folks around me that seem to enjoy what they're doing. It feels so disconnected to me. It feels so disconnected from self, from heart, from reality or goodness. Yeah, I'm wondering what your challenges are with your career in these COVID times. What have you been doing? What are you hoping for as things begin to move back to somewhat normalcy? How are things going in your career or your job? What are the challenges you're facing? And I especially encourage you to practice sharing the feelings that you're having about it, the emotions and feelings, and leaning away from the stories and justification, and just towards the bodily sensation of being with it and starting to create space for yourself to really hear yourself and to be seen in that as well. I've also been really excited about going back to school to become a licensed therapist. I think it's mostly financial reasons that I lean away from that, to be honest. 2.5 years of school, the cost of the academics, the living costs while I'm not working, and then I begin to get into the career. And so it's going to be several years before I get into a situation where I'm still not making as much money as I do right now. Paradise is not cheap. This is an expensive place to live, which is a big factor. I love this place. Not just because the weather's beautiful and there's mountains and ocean, healthy, fit, attractive, fun people, but half the people in the city are highly educated. There's so much cutting edge psychological and psycho-spiritual projects and practices coming out. Relational practices are really cutting edge and really seeking deep health and intimacy. I don't want to leave this bath of brilliance and beauty. It's such a potent place for me. It's so good. So this place is worth a lot to me. And so I get to really figure out, how do I make this work, being here and continuing to be immersed in these things that are so meaningful and rich to me. All right, I'm running a minute late. Not cool. I'm gonna go jump out and have breakfast. Well, the food was good, and the friend was nice. Yeah, don't know. it was okay. Notice I'm feeling ungrounded, a little bit of disgust, discomfort, shame, fear. A lot in my chest and head, heat. I feel overheated right now. It's getting hot. The weather is. And I'm heading off to yoga. A friend is doing a yoga class right out on the park by the beach, which will be great and pretty guaranteed. Process all this subtle kind of yuck feeling. Just got such a rich, vulnerable share from a friend. It's got me feeling a lot, kind of overwhelmed. I don't know if you've ever gotten that feeling of like the world is talking about you. I feel a little unsettled and nervous. Like the feeling of of like the world, the community or the world talking about me, which is probably a great thing to reflect on in the context of this YouTube video project as well. It's so interesting what people can make up about people. And I'm becoming increasingly okay with that, caring less, but at the same time, it's really important to me that we all heal and that the world becomes a better place. Gosh, vulnerable share, I really feel like an opportunity for myself and for the community and the world to lean in the direction of reality and goodness and self-work. So it feels like it'd be so ironic for that to be misconstrued. Wow. Yeah, that gets close to something that's really important to me. Yeah, the whole like saving of the world feeling. In a way, it feels like an even stronger call back to self. Of like, not only should you do the work of being content and fulfilled with yourself, you should really, really do the work of feeling content and fulfilled with yourself. Because the external, no matter how much good effort you put into it, has chaos, and it will never see you fully. No matter how hard you try, no matter how transparent or vulnerable and authentic you are, the world is full of distortions. Uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable ideas. And such a privilege to be concerned about like reputation and whether or not people are gonna be able to learn how to love themselves as a result of you. Like, okay, best I can do is keep doing my work and keep speaking what feels real and good. Let's go yoga. Oh my gosh, this beach. Look at this. Life. Feel good. Alright, so I went to the park. Couldn't find anyone. Checked the event details. Looks like it's supposed to be members only. Don't think there would have been any problem in me sitting in, but can't find anyone, so I'm just gonna go take a swim instead. Yeah. At the moment, I'm feeling like one of the lessons I repeatedly forget. Something about the instability of social dynamics, or the instability of relationships, that I have a tendency to get excited. I don't just mean romantic relationships, I'm meaning all communities. It's a place where chaos and temporary nature of things feels rapid, painfully obvious, and yet somehow still easy for me to forget. And I can find myself investing and over-investing, hoping and attaching. That's something I really try to keep my eye on. And at the moment, it's helping me return not only to self, but toward the original topic for this video, which is around a form of self-sustenance, which is financial or material self-sustenance. And I'm wondering if I might be able to lean into this whole shift as a swing back into a kind of slight introversion. It can lead me back into the joys of software and being on my own and finding fulfillment in these things that are less socially based, less interpersonally based. Right now, I'm gonna meditate. If you haven't, go check out the meditation video that we put up. And me dropping into how this beach feels and then me going for a swim. I'm feeling a strong pull at the moment to rebalance, leaning away from community a little bit and toward myself, to go deeper and longer in meditation each day, probably a couple times, maybe beginning and end of the day. Really lean into what it feels like to be living a more self-contained life and continue to allow community to grow more slowly around me. I think it's an important part of a higher level of discernment. I still don't think I've done enough uncovery to find what needs are really going on, what needs are really being triggered right now. So I'm going to keep leaning into this. Sitting here at this beach covered in flies feels really fitting for the disgust that I've been feeling over the last hour. It's also helping feel like a metaphor kind of for life at the moment. Like, I just want to be left alone. I just want peace. And I also notice a practice, and I'm not trying to chase them or shoo them or kill them at the moment. I'm just trying to find peace despite them swarming me, feeling the disgust and trying to find peace anyway. Well, that's enough of that. I remember why I don't come to this particular beach. I'm also feeling super grateful that I feel like there's places I can reach out right now and share what's going on with me and go deeper. Not to mention I'm actually going to one of my somatic practices this afternoon. One of the places I feel self-disgust is that even when I'm celibate, I find myself compelled to spend time with women, the gender that I'm attracted to, that I don't think has any particular redeeming value. It's almost like maybe I find comfort or validation or thrill and hope. Yeah. So I'm not really sure why it is. that I'm compelled to spend my time in that way, but it's definitely there. I could certainly be spending my time doing things that are a bit more constructive and valuable to me, or at least consciously more valuable to me. Another minor point of self-disgust is in the ways that I still feel myself pulled towards wanting to be aesthetically attractive, specifically in the size or shape of my body. I really prefer and find it more real and good to be healthy in a way that is built around healthy diet, walking, stretching, swimming, yoga, flowing dance, exploring movement. And yet I also notice myself pulled towards wanting an attractive body, where attractive means somewhat muscular and defined, even though I don't feel like lifting weights or doing intense workouts is actually a healthy or good thing for me, for my health, for my well-being. Another place of self-disgust and frustration are the things that I feel compelled towards, like cereal or video games. You know, if there is value in these things, I'd like to understand that. But if they're distracting me from more valuable things, preventing me in obvious or even subtle ways, for example, from getting really powerfully prepared to get back to work, and I really want to have more strength. And I notice I have fear. I want to be doing all of these things in sustainable ways. I don't want to wrestle myself and push myself so forcefully all the time that I push myself out of balance. So I do want to make sure that I understand my needs and that I'm filling my own well with however much joy and rest and relaxation is necessary for me to continue improving myself, my behaviors, resist desire, compulsion, and to lean into the interests that serve me, as well as doing the work that I might not feel particularly naturally inclined toward, but that is definitely part of a currently well-balanced, healthy lifestyle. Little side note, I also made a toast with a buddy. Not sure exactly what to call it, but set an intention to stay flexible. You know, meaning don't stay abstinent from drink. Don't be celibate for forever. And yet what I imagine kind of pushing myself away from my ideals, I feel disgust there as well. I don't really want to push myself to have drink or to break celibacy. So we've definitely been touching on themes of disgust, balance, and hidden in there, I think, is for me a known desire for permanence, for longevity, things that I can really invest in, that can grow with me, and that eventually will continue on with a life without me, that are good. That to me is right legacy, where they like to create something powerfully good that lives on beyond me, has a life of its own because it's good, because it's founded in what's real, and because people find value in it. I definitely don't find that inherent to the work that I do at the job that pays me so well. I find that the work at that job is inherently meaningless and empty. The money certainly allows me to live in a place where I'm stimulated to grow, and I meet some like-minded individuals who support each other in growing and integrity and goodness and interpersonally. But it definitely, that money And these other activities definitely feel far removed from that particular job. Things feel so back to normal around here. I keep forgetting my face mask and I keep arriving at places that require face masks. I'm like, okay. Happy now? In all seriousness, a quick note on COVID. I think it's very important, depending on your environment, to wear a mask still. There's plenty of unknowns, but my city and state has done such a good job in handling this thing that, our hospitals never even filled up to 10%. So things are fine. Like, there's a new flu, there's a new coronavirus. So, and the fatality rates, I promise you, are going to show that they're far lower than we thought they were. So the people that are susceptible, I still think should really protect themselves. And if establishments, especially grocery stores, want to make like special hours, like an early hour only for people that are wearing face masks, cool, like, that sounds great. Otherwise, for the rest of us, I think it's pretty good that we're rolling back into a more normal functioning society. Little stop at my favorite Mexican restaurant. Get the mole chicken enchiladas. Yeah, man. We'll head over to somatic therapy. It's gonna be a good day. A lot coming up today. That was delicious. I feel sedated by food, which is something that I've started noticing and become slightly wary, or at least conscious about. I had all this access to feelings of disgust and concern earlier. Now that I've eaten, I'm distracted by satiety. The disgust has kind of gone back under, so I'm hoping I can dig back into that. Let's head over to somatic therapy and do some work. Well, I quite simply hate my job. Brings up a lot of fear and frustration. I've done a lot of work to get up here. Up here. Notice how I put that status judgment, and I'm attached to it. The income, the status. There's this sense that if I had more courage, that I would quit and save myself the pain, the time wasted, and the potential destruction of mood, of health, of relationships, by staying in this job that I hate until it burns. So note to self, a curiosity around courage. Because here's the flip side. There's absolutely things that I love. And the space that I love more than anything else at this point, it's authentic relating. It's integrity, vulnerability, transparency in relationships, healthy intimacy, healthy emotional intimacy, self-awareness, this uncovery project. If I could spend my time, full-time work, reading, researching, healthy relationships, healthy interpersonal relationships, and self-guided self-growth, and all the things I just listed, and developing the uncovery process for groups of individuals, and specifically women. I like discomfort around admitting that, shame and fear. It's like, not sure what exactly is there. I don't know if it's something about my relationship with my mom and dad, or their relationship with each other, or don't think it's my attraction to women. I hope it's not my attraction to women. Could be my distrust of men. Which could come from anything. The social climate. Knowing past versions of myself. But yeah, my ideal vision would be like once a week leading a marathon group session of uncovery with the same people returning. And having that be my career. I mean, having that be a massive income stream. So I'd probably have to start with, wealthy, local, older women who are wanting more health in themselves and in their relationships, wanting to find sisterhood, companionship, a new form that's not just cackling projections and judgments and cerebralizing, but something that really brings an unenmeshed, non-caretaking, inherently self-contained, you can do it, I am okay place where they can share their feelings, they can learn how to articulate their feelings, notice what's going on underneath the feelings, the stories they're telling themselves, instead of pointing outward and disempowering themselves, taking victimhood stances. This is such good work for men and women. I have my conscious men's group, so I'm already feeling kind of satisfied there. And I appreciate some of the yin tendencies of women. I recognize the older I get, the more I'm moving away from the yang and the patriarchy, so to speak, a term that I hate using, and more towards peace, nurturing, emotionality, somatics, yin, sweetness, love and care. Gosh, yeah. I would love to be spending myself full time perfecting uncovery and to be financially sustainable in that. Gosh, that feels good. That feels good and scary. I have so much doubt. Entrepreneurship scares me a lot. A lot of respect for people who really get in it and really make the move and do it the way that I see it kind of needs to be done. Full force, not holding back. Like I'm doing, sitting here. As I've mentioned in other videos, I'm primarily philosopher. Secondly, creative. Creative, expressive creator. It's only after that, maybe third, that I'm entrepreneur. Sort of action-oriented, do it now, sales, marketing, you need this, projecting onto others. But at least that, take the action. I admit I'm grateful for who I am. I much prefer understanding reality first, finding goodness based in reality, and then doing the work. Yeah. I am grateful to have self-love. That's not easy, I hear, for quite a few people. Gosh, maybe I could do a video about that. Self-love, promise you, that's not like some self-care game. It's about reality and goodness and doing the work of getting in integrity with yourself. The self-love follows. Career, money, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, this real good stuff is real tough for me sometimes. Thanks for being on this journey with me. Things that feel way more in alignment to me, for example, would be offering authentic emotional intimacy, sort of like on an hourly basis, one-on-one. Leading uncovery groups. Kind of doing what we're doing now, figuring out things, like covering topics like reality, goodness, and work. authentic relating, vulnerability, transparency, healthy relationships, healthy intimacy, how to build communities that last, healthy community dynamics. So yeah, if you're getting value out of this, go ahead and hit that like button and feel free to comment. Let me know what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what works for you, what sort of challenges you're facing. What do you do for work? Do you like it? If you could really lean into doing what you really care about and do it full time and somehow monetize it, what would that thing be? What is that thing that you really believe in, really enjoy and feel pulled towards? Let me know. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Real Good, where we believe in reality, goodness, and doing the work. Seriously, let's get into it. Do you like your job? Is there something that you do like, that you're passionate about, that you think is good, that you think the world could benefit from? Is it something that the world might be looking for? Go ahead and write it up in the comments. Let us know. I believe in healthy community, healthy relationship with other and the self. I believe it begins with self-awareness. I believe it includes necessarily a practice of nonviolent communication, authenticity, and the courage to have vulnerability. I think we need to practice unenmeshment because I think it's rampant in our society and our relationships. I think we need to work on filling our own wells, meeting people with honesty, and in our nonviolent communication, we offer our experience. We do not impose upon others. We do not manipulate. We do not deceive. We do not inject. We give each other the opportunities to meet each other. Now that sounds lovely, right? But the world seems to be a dangerous place, right? Full of, let's say, deceit, fake news, manipulation, injection. There's advertising everywhere, right? Everyone's competing for our attention. Hell, I'd like your attention as well. So where do we begin? Well, again, begin with the self. You could begin by hitting the subscribe button here. And you could begin by practicing nonviolent hearing, nonviolent listening. Meaning whenever you're exposed to anything, look for the need that's maybe not being expressed in the most healthy possible way. What do I mean by hear the need? For example, when I'm sharing with you that I don't love my job, what am I saying? Well, I might be saying to you that I need to feel some joy in my job. I need to feel like I don't hate my job. I need to feel like my job is sustainable, like it's a reasonable thing to do with my time, like I'm motivated and can show up and do it. Maybe. But if we don't speak in those terms, if we don't speak clearly with nonviolence, with accuracy and clarity, if we haven't done the self-work and the uncovery to figure out what's really going on for us underneath our emotions and our stories, we may not have access or the ability or courage to step up and speak up and let people help us. So here, let me step up and speak up and let you help me. I would like to spend my full time researching healthy self-work, healthy interpersonal relations, healthy community dynamics, and make the world a better place. I believe in reality, goodness, and work, and I want to spend my full time working on this and sharing with you authentically and vulnerably here in video as well as in writing. I want for us to connect, I want for us to grow, and I want for the world to continue to grow with us. How can you help me? Let's see. It's time to start a Patreon. I'm going to start a Patreon account. If you go over to that Patreon account, let's see, what are my living expenses? Let's shoot a little high. Let's shoot a little high just to cover things. I'll tell you what, if I can get I'll keep it low, $3,000 a month to cover my living expenses and my eating costs out here, I will quit my day job and I will do this full time. And I will be eternally grateful. I will share my Patreon as soon as it becomes available. Let's do this. Thank you for your support. Let's do this together. definitely hit subscribe. If you're getting value out of this, hit that like button. And if you've got your own dreams and visions, please share them in the comments so that we can hear them and work together.
You don't have to fight. Just admit you were wrong. She was right. Steep running cars. Don't second guess.
Oh, getting out to the farmer's market was really nice. Running into a bunch of friends was really nice. Adriana and Lindsay. But it's incredibly hot out, so a friend gave me the keys to their place. Well, let's go head over there. Eat, get some water. Hang out for a minute. Cutest. I think it's a good time to hang out with some cats and read and then cook some dinner and wind down. What a long, beautiful, emotional day. Oh, so rich, so good. My body feels great. I feel sedated and satiated. I think it's important to remember the actual somatic experiences I have with people, departing, and thereafter spending time with people. I start to use that as some of my social discernment. Let's go ahead and get home. Thanks, y'all. It's been real good processing job, work, career, dissatisfaction and struggles, disgust, more social discernment. And all in all, it was actually really a beautiful day for me. Met a new friend, time at the beach, somatic therapy, farmer's market, ran into a bunch of friends, spent some time with another friend. It's been a really beautiful day. So thanks for hanging out, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're getting value out of this, hit that like button and leave some comments. Start the conversation. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you again. It's been real good. Good night.